This is a ClimateXChange webinar to introduce you to who we are and how to succeed in bidding for our projects. I'm Emma Dore. I'm Project Manager for Climate Business and Industry, and delighted to have you with us today. We are going to be sharing, as I said, a bit more about ClimateXChange, who we are and what we do. I'll be talking you through the quality criteria from our project specifications, and then we'll leave a good chunk of time at the end for Q&A. So ClimateXChange is Scotland's Centre of Expertise on climate change. We're funded through the Scottish Government's Resource Department, which is one of their analytical divisions, and we've been doing that since 2011. So we know quite a bit about working with Scottish Government in this area. Our job is to commission, manage and deliver research and analysis to support the Scottish Government's policy development around climate. We don't just work with policymakers from within the climate change division. We work with people from tax, from investment, from public relations, agriculture, anywhere across Scottish Government that they've got questions that relate to climate change, both adaptation, mitigation, but also broader than that, risk and impact and project evaluation. We work responsibly to deliver rapid research to the questions as they appear. So ClimateXChange is housed within the University of Edinburgh. We're based at Edinburgh Climate Change Institute, but actually we're made up of a group of 4 Scottish academic institutions. Here are our 4 directors. Kate, who's from the University of Edinburgh, is our policy director. And then Pete Smith from the University of Aberdeen. Leanne Sutherland from James Hutton Institute, and Stuart Gallery from the University of Strathclyde. And between them, their expertise covers a vast range of things that we do. And their role is to provide the team with strategic direction, to manage our knowledge exchange and research, kind of provide that conduit or to facilitate that conduit with academic institutions across Scotland, but also ensuring effective delivery of our project outputs. And they play a really important role in providing quality assurance peer review of each and every project that we publish, so that we know that our science is robust and the quality of our papers are there. And here we are, here's the team. I won't run through all of them, but as you'll see, each project manager holds a portfolio of research in a specific area of policy interest. Sometimes projects fall in between these and we pick them up as they occur, or sometimes projects span across many of these areas. So those are some of the most interesting projects, and we work together to share our expertise. The program's led by Anna Marta Bergsing, who's on the call today to answer any more tricky questions that come up, and we're supported by Lee, who manages the centre. And if you have worked with us before or win a bid from us, you'll get lots of messages from Lee managing contracts and finances and that kind of thing. She keeps the ship afloat. And Grant, who's on the call today, and Saoirse do our comms work. I hope that you're all already signed up to our newsletter. And if you're not, you're in for a treat. We've got a bumper edition this month, and please do sign up on our website at the end of the call. So a bit more about how we work. As I mentioned before, we receive research requests from across Scottish Government. They tend to be, well, they're all delivered within the space of a year. They can be anywhere from between kind of 3 or 4 months projects to maybe 9 months. We also deliver events, workshops, roundtables, knowledge exchange events. But for the purposes of this webinar, we're focusing on kind of our core research project delivery. So we work with Scottish Government colleagues to shape a really good question to address their research need, and then we formulate that into a project specification, which gets issued as an invitation to tender. We put this on our website, out through our newsletter, on social media, and we also have an email list of hundreds of research providers. As you're on the call, I suspect you found us somewhere in one of those places, and if you're not linked in with us in those ways, please do get in touch. When we've received all of the bids for a project, we go through a process of fair scoring of each of those bids. Each and every bid is scored individually across quality criteria. There are 5, which are going to make up the bulk of this webinar today, talking you through each of those. And each are scored on their own individual merit. And our scoring process is transparent. Anyone can ask for feedback on their bid. And people that are scoring those bids are the CXC project manager and at least one Scottish Government analyst and Scottish Government policy lead. If it's a tender that's over £50,000, then we also have a member of the University of Edinburgh's procurement team on that, helping us to go through that scoring process. So once a team is selected to deliver the project, we form a steering group. That's what these colourful circles in the middle represent. And CXE, with the researchers and the Scottish Government, work together to kick off the project and to keep it on track, to keep it in scope and delivering on time too. And sometimes the involvement of the steering group is quite light in a project, and sometimes it's very much more involved depending on what's needed. Occasionally, we have external people on the steering group too from different industry bodies, or where there's a really important stakeholder who's going to be involved in the interpretation and use of the research. And at the end of the project, we go through an editing process, including, as I mentioned, a QA peer review by one of our directors. And then the output is a fairly short. We normally say that the main body of the report should be around 25 pages, although there's space for annexes. And sometimes we ask for other types of output too, maybe infographics or different communications tools. The project outputs are always hosted on our website and delivered to the Scottish Government teams who delivered them. The first of our quality criteria is understanding the research specification and the policy environment. It's worth mentioning that if you look closely on sorry, got muddled. If you look closely on the ITT, it will tell you what weighting is given to each of the quality criteria, which varies depending on project and what we feel is going to be most important for delivery. But it will also tell you where the weighting is between pricing and the quality criteria. In most projects, it's 20% on cost and 80% on the quality criteria, but do look for that detail because it can vary. So the first quality assessment criteria is always understanding the research specification and policy environment. We're looking for you to really show us that you understand what this project is all about and how what you plan to do will address it. And we want you to do that in your own words. Please don't copy and paste what we've put in the specification. That does not give a good signal to us. We want to show that you understand what sits behind and around about this research area, that you have an understanding of the role that this kind of question will play in the in Scotland's policy development and within the wider research context. And I think the important point there in the second bullet point is that it has to be the Scottish policy context. We welcome bids from across the UK, but we need you to show us that you really understand what's going on in Scotland. Very often it's also relevant to talk about what's going on more broadly in the UK and sometimes even internationally. But we need to hear that you understand what this means for Scotland, and what the research what the research environment and evidence environment is already like. And also, not all projects are cross-sectoral for us, but very many of them are, and almost all of them don't just sit in a vacuum or in a silo, but will have implications beyond the policy team that has commissioned them. So please show us both that you understand the very specific project and that you understand the broader role that the question will sit within. Please don't go really broad. Quite often we get bids that start with, there is a climate emergency, or Scotland passed the Climate Change Act in 2009. We know that's kind of old news. This is about showing that you understand this project and this context. And also, please don't, within having only a few short pages to deliver this information, please don't waste space at the top on a paragraph about why our organisation is broadly wonderful and important. A lot of bids, particularly from bigger consultancies, can take up to half a page with a kind of generic, this is why we're great, blurb. And in honesty, that's not going to score you any points here. We want to see that you really understand this specific project and this specific question and context. The next one is about methodology, and very often on our projects, this is one of the categories that gets the heavier weighting. This is about explaining a robust methodology, but in plain English, and doing it really, really clearly. Don't use jargon. You may be the world's expert in a particular type of economic analysis or a particular type of soil analysis, but please don't assume that those on the panel judging your bid know all about it. I appreciate you've got a small amount of space, but please do tell us a bit about what methodology you're choosing and why, and use plain English to do so. This is about being really clear about what you're choosing to do and why you're choosing to do it. Setting out essentially how you would deliver the project to understand the research question, to answer the research question. As has already been mentioned, our projects tend to be very short term and they each have a set budget. Therefore, you won't be able to do everything that you would ideally love to do. And so it's about being honest within the bid about the limitations of what you're choosing to do, the robustness of what you can deliver and the suitability of what you can deliver, but also the limits. I feel a little suspicious when I see bids that say, you know, we will definitely arrive at the perfect answer. This is exactly what we're going to do, and this is not. I want to know exactly what you're going to do, but I also want to know that you're aware of the limits of it. And please do be specific about the data sets that you're going to use if it's a data related project, or if it's more qualitative about how you're going to access interviews or you know, focus groups or something like that. Be really specific, because it shows us that you know what you're talking about in a particular research area. I think we have a hand up. Do you want to ask a question? If it's a question, maybe you could put it in the Q&A function. No, okay, maybe not. So, yeah, and then the final point there about academic references. It is good to show us that you really understand the research area and what's gone before, but please clearly state how they relate to the specification. This isn't an opportunity to list all of the relevant academic texts or anything. This is about what you're going to do to build on what's gone before. Yeah, thanks, Grant. Yeah, and don't take up a whole lot of space with academic references. That is, there will be space for that in the delivery of the project, but we want to know about how you're going to build on what's gone before. project management and staff resource. So please do use your bid to introduce the team that's going to deliver the project. We want to know how their expertise will meet the project requirements. You are allowed to, and in many cases it's advisable to put CVs as an appendix. That's not counted in the main page count of the bid. But within the main body of the bid, we really need to see how this person, how and why the people on your team are right for this project and what they're going to bring to the table. It's not about giving more detail than the CV. It's about tying together what they've done before and delivery of this project. And showing us that you have really relevant, specific expertise on your team to deliver the methodology that you've already told us about and to answer the question in the particular policy and research context that we've laid out. We asked to see how each staff member is going to be tackling each task, or rather how each task is going to be delivered by which staff member and the steps within that. And that helps us to know that you've thought really clearly that you do have the skills and capacity within your team to deliver these projects. These are never simple one question, one answer projects. They're complex, requiring multiple steps, sometimes several methodologies, always multiple different kind of work streams. And so we want to know that you've got the people in your team who can deliver the different aspects of it. And importantly, that they're going to be available for the duration of the project. I mean, obviously somebody can go on holiday for a week, but you need to really think through, is that person going to be away on holiday for the week that they're assigned to write their particular bit of the project? It's also really important that we have a main contact person and how they're going to be involved through the project and linking in with all of the team members and with your CXC project manager to make sure that it's coherent even when there are large teams involved. I think it's really important as well. We really welcome consortium bids. Some projects are delivered really strongly, tying together expertise from multiple teams and multiple institutions. But there are extra tasks that have to come along with that, involving tying it together and there being a main contact person that CXC can work with to manage the project well. We also ask in this section that you talk about compliance issues, GDPR, how you're going to handle any risks, how you're going to handle any issues in that way. And if there aren't any, just drop us a sentence saying that you have thought about it, but there aren't any for your particular proposed methodology. Yeah, and I think the other most important thing to say on this section is tables and Gantt charts are your friends here. Clarity is so important, and you can waste a lot of, or you can use a lot of page space detailing in sentences what every single person on your team is going to do, which may well be just presented better in a table or a Gantt chart or both. That's my top tip for this section. Communication and report writing. At the top of this, I want to say, please show us that you can write well by writing your bid well. That is going to stand you in good stead. If we receive bids that aren't well written, we're in doubt that you're going to be able to deliver a well-written report. You also need to tell us about that you've thought about the approach to writing this particular report. What does this project, for the policy audiences that we've told you about in the specification, how does writing and delivering this report work well? How are you going to present your findings from whatever methodologies that you've been using? Please explain to us the process for your process for delivering the outputs. I know it might seem obvious, well, we're going to write a report, but actually there are skills and nuances to that, and it is worth thinking ahead about who's on your team, what type of work they're delivering, and how you're going to communicate that well. In terms of previous work, we like to see active, correct hyperlinks embedded within the main document so that we can click on them and we can be taken to something that you have previously published that is relevant and that has been written by somebody from your team, but rather by the people on your team. I do appreciate that sometimes you're working for private clients that don't allow reports to be published, or sometimes in the document itself, individuals won't be named as authors, for example, if it's kind of done under a corporate heading. But please tell us in the text of the bid what your role was, or what the team member's role was within delivering that, and why it's relevant to this project, and how that's transferable. And also, we're really looking for examples of how you've written for similar audiences, for policy audiences, how you've written in plain English in an accessible way using visualizations and so on. And do talk to us about how you're going to make this visually interesting. If we've asked for a presentation, how you're going to do that. And data management tasks, and do include their related costs. Some of our projects are really data heavy, and you need to think through that in ahead and show us that you have shown it. Clarity is really, really important here as well, as is showing that you understand that writing for a policy audience is different from, for example, writing for corporates or writing for academic journals. And finally, our fifth quality criteria is around quality assurance and risk mitigation. So this is about you thinking and demonstrating really clearly that you've thought through how you're going to check your work. What quality assurance measures are you embedding into your team and into your process to ensure that the right checks and balances are there for you and that you can address issues when they arrive. I had one bid recently, which essentially said, we'll read through it again at the end to check it's all right. They didn't really score very highly on this one. This is about, throughout the project, having markers at significant points of project delivery, milestones, to say, at this point, we're going to pause and check so that we can move with confidence that we've got robust results and that we can build our findings in the next stage. And it's about having more than one person seeking expertise outside the core project team to ensure that there's a fresh pair of eyes on it and that they can critique, look at the detail, understand and challenge you, so that by the time I see a draft, it's already been looked at by people outside of your team, and I can be confident that even though you're the experts, that somebody else from the outside world has read it and thought about it and questioned it, and ideally that more than one person is doing that. Also, as with the communication element, if your bid is full of typos and has missed sentences in and half-finished tables, it doesn't show me that you're taking quality seriously. So please do just take an extra bit of time to get your bid quality assured by somebody else. Show us that that's part of the way you work. And then the second part of this is around risk mitigation. This is about looking at what the risks are, how high those risks are, what the impact of those would be, what mitigation actions you could take, and what response actions you could take. It's not just about saying, this might be a problem or that might be a problem. It's about doing the forward thinking to consider how you're going to lessen that risk in advance, but also what you would do if it happened. Once again, the use of tables is really helpful here, can really save you a lot of space and can show us that you're clearly thinking. I've put in bold there, tailored to this project. Many of you will write a lot of bits for a lot of projects, and there are some that are just standard. And I understand that. There's no point in reinventing the wheel. But if we get just a really generic risks matrix, it doesn't show us that you've really thought through what might happen for this project and how you would address that. So please do check that you're not just sending us a copy and paste job from the last bid you did. Please do think about what might happen for this type of data, this type of audience, this type of methodology. We've given you some hints there. Please do think about staffing and data accessibility as an absolute baseline. But also, top tip, also think about what time of year you're delivering. When you're writing your project plan, if you've got lots of interviews across the last 2 weeks of December, that may present a risk. That kind of thing. Think through the practicality of delivering the project that you're designing. And yeah, it's also a real opportunity when thinking through risks about it gives you an opportunity to improve your project plan. Thanks, everybody. Goodbye.